business now here on France 24. Kate's with us for the week doing the business news. You're going to tell us, first of all, about the French winner of the Nobel Prize for Economics, aren't you? That's right. Jean Tirole, who's a professor at the University of Toulouse in France, has long been seen as one of the most influential economists of his time. He was selected for the Nobel Prize now for his analysis of market power and regulation. Specifically, he's done work on how to best regulate powerful sectors that only have a few companies, sectors like railways, highways, and telecommunications, to avoid monopolies and protect consumers. Josh Vardy takes a closer look.
How should governments deal with monopolies and ensure companies don't take huge profits at the expense of the customer? These are the questions that French economist Jean Tirole tackled in the research that won him the Nobel Prize.
We have been thinking about the way to regulate the industries which are not naturally competitive. So because of large fixed costs or network anxieties, there are some industries which tend to be monopolized or at least served by a few firms, and that raises competition matters.
Unlike other recent winning economists, Tirole's studies have direct relevance to current policy. It shows how, for example, producers of globally popular but patented software could dominate an industry. Tirole's work challenges the theory that all industries should face the same competition rules. He argues that the best regulation or competition policy should be carefully adapted to every industry's specific conditions. Under this theory, companies dominating telecommunication firms would operate in different ways to the banking industry. By understanding the differences, Tirole says governments will be able to encourage powerful firms to offer better services while not exploiting their customers.
Let's have a look at the markets then, Kate. How are they doing?
Not very well in Asia. We're seeing a sort of mixed picture there, except for in Japan, where the Nikkei plunged. It had been hovering at near a 2-month low for most of the session, falling there and actually closing down even lower than that figure, near 2%. We saw the U.S. markets also plunging on Monday. The S&P closed down over 1.6%. Trading around the world has been dragged down by these fears about the global economy, and investors will be waiting to hear news about Germany's economic growth, actually expected to decline a little bit. We'll be hearing about that later on this morning, Stuart.
OK, now Wall Street's seen a new player on Monday, Fiat Chrysler, making its debut on the New York Stock Exchange. How did they fare?
I think not quite as well as they had hoped. Shares opened at around $9 and went down slightly to close at 8.92, keeping in mind, of course, that the overall markets had a much more dismal session than that. The Italian Fiat completed its acquisition of Chrysler earlier on this year in January. And analysts say that this listing on Wall Street is an important step to raising awareness of the brand among American consumers.
It's significant mainly because Chrysler needs to be able to tap the capital markets in New York and the United States, the more lucrative capital markets. They can borrow money here and they can sell additional stock here if needed to raise money. And they have very ambitious expansion plans worldwide, especially moving Jeep up and selling more Jeeps in China, and that's going to cost them some money. They're going to need to raise some money to do that.
Let's turn to some of the day's other business headlines now. Shares in GoPro fell as much as 16% on Monday, amid speculation that the wearable camera may have contributed to Michael Schumacher's injuries. The Formula One legend suffered severe head injuries in a skiing accident in the French Alps last year. The French journalist made waves on Monday as he suggested the GoPro camera mounted on Schumacher's helmet may have caused more damage than the fall itself. France's Iliad, the parent company of the low-cost phone provider Free, has dropped its bid to take over the struggling phone operator T-Mobile. Founded by billionaire Xavier Niel, Iliad's $15 billion offer was almost as much as its own market value and had been seen as a long shot. T-Mobile's controlling shareholder Deutsche Telekom said it was not interested in any sweetened deal. T-Mobile shares fell 4% on the news. And Universal Studios is hoping to take China for a ride, planning a new 1,000-acre, $3 billion theme park in Beijing. Analysts say amusement parks will bring in an estimated $3 billion across China this year, thanks to a growing middle class. Universal Studios is also developing a new complex in Dubai.
Some dramatic plunges in those pictures there. Now then, finally, Apple. They've hit the big leagues, really, with its new watch making its high-fashion debut, Kate.
That's right. The Apple Watch is on the cover of Vogue China for the month of November. You'll be able to see it just there on the model with a very fancy red leather strap. I'm not sure if that's custom or if it's the normal model. Now, the smartwatch itself won't actually hit stores for another 4 months or so. But Apple's other big new product, which is the iPhone 6, is due to debut in China later on this week. So this is some well-timed advertising there, I think, showing that this smartwatch isn't just for geeks. It's a luxury product that combines high fashion and high tech, Stuart.
Did you say well-timed?
I did. I couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist, Stuart.
Very good.
Thanks very much.
We like puns from the business team, don't we? Coming up, latest